It was December 2024, exactly the same time as it is now that I'm recording this video, that I made a list of my most anticipated releases of 2025 because I heard about the books that were coming in 2025 and I thought, okay, 2024 was not it for book reading, but 2025 is going to be the year that gives us all the books that we want from the authors that we love, and it is going to be amazing. That list became 2 lists, and then it became 3 when all of the other releases came in and we realized, oh, these books are also coming in. So now today, I'm going to go on and rank all of those new releases that I loved and I anticipated, the ones that I read, obviously. So those lists were very long, and I'm going to admit that I haven't read all of them yet. And since this is December 3rd, I'm assuming that I'm not going to read all of them. So I'm going to rank all the ones that I have read until now, and if something else comes in, good for me. And so out of all the books that I wanted to read, I read 25 of them, which is not a great number, but if you look at my year as in I'm going to read 100 books, which I haven't, but if you look at my year and be like, okay, she's going to read 100 books, 25 is 1/4 of that. So not a great number, but good enough to be here and not be too ashamed of myself. Let's get to the list. I'm going to start at 25 and then get up to number 1. Number 25, I have The Way Up is Death. I heard about the concept of this book that was like, okay, this is like a real game. They are in this tower. Each time that they go one level up, some of them die and they have to get to the top of it. I was so excited, I thought it's going to be amazing. From the first page, the writing was unbearable. So when I got to 30% or something, I DNF'd it. Usually I don't put DNFs in my read lists, but this one needed to be here because the writing was so bad that it ruined the concept for me. I couldn't handle the writing so much that I didn't care what this book was about and where it was going. I was like, I'm out. Thank you so much. That's number 25. Number 24, Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. Why is this book this low? Again, another book that I was so excited about. An isolated island. People are mysteries. People acting weird. I thought it's going to be so good because, they can't get out, and I love this type of mysteries. One of the most pointless books I read this year. There was no reason for this book to exist. When the book ended, I was like, this is how you want to end that story? Why? What was the point? What was the mystery? Everything ended so suddenly, so meaninglessly, if that's a word. Hated it. I can't believe Alice Feeney wrote this. I'm going to tell you my review. The only reason I did not give this book 1 star was that it was not Daisy Darker. And yes, I'm outing myself and telling you that I absolutely hate Daisy Darker. And not just because of the story, because of the way she decided to retell that story and the narrator of it. Hated Daisy Darker even more than this one, so that was the only reason I gave Beautiful Ugly 2 stars. Alice Feeney, I was expecting way more from you. 23. Another thriller that let me down so bad. With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. I read the only one left this year, and it was such a great book. The mystery was amazing. The pace was beautiful. So I was so excited To read a book in a train, people cannot get off of this plane, it's going, people are dying. I love isolated locations for thrillers because the thrilling feeling gets so much higher when they are in this isolated space that they cannot escape. Awful. It was so bad. So bad. The pacing, boring. The mysteries, boring. The ending, boring. I cannot believe that the author of this book was the same one that wrote that book. It was so bad, such a letdown that I couldn't even believe that the book was finished and that was it. I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't care about any of the storylines. I don't even remember who was who and what was going on in this book. I just can tell you that it was really, really bad. Number 22, one of my most anticipated books of this year, by the author that has so many diehard fans that believe that if somebody doesn't like a book by this author, they don't get it and they're not intelligent enough to get it. And I have a vlog in my channel reading this book, Catabasis by Arf Kuang. Why? Why am I Why did I hate an Arf Kuang book this much? I hated everything about it. You can see my vlog of it. I respect Arf Kuang as an author. I'm sure she is capable of so many great things and so many great themes. Not this one. Oh my god, not this one. I get angry every time I talk about this, and before you get defensive, no, it is not because I thought it was too much academic stuff in it. I didn't hate it because of that. The explanations were fine. I couldn't. The characters were awful. I want to use polite terms. The characters, I mean, Peter was just there, so whatever. Alice is the worst main character I have ever read. Well, that's an exaggeration. Let's say Alice is the worst character I read this year because she really was. The misogyny in this book was killing me. Okay, I don't understand why R.F. Kuang wrote. She wrote an academic book based on our society and our universities, colleges that they look at women as inferior and not as valuable as the men. And she knows this because she's an academic person. And then she wrote a book full of misogyny, sexism, internalized misogyny, classism. And you can say that, oh, she was trying to argue this point. No, she wasn't. It was not ironically. Okay, it was there, so in your face, and it was so deep embedded in this character that it was not trying to prove a point. She did not prove any kind of point until the last page. I was waiting for that reveal of, oh, you see this character and how misogynist she is? Look at how bad it is. Nothing. It was just misogyny after misogyny after misogyny. The way she wrote this character speaking about other women, it did something to my brain. Okay, it was so bad. I don't know what the point was. I don't know what she was trying to do. I can just tell you that it did not land. And I'm going to move on. If you want to know my full thoughts, maybe watch that vlog. I get more angry right there. Number 21, The Society of Unknowable Objects. Yeah, there's an S at the end of that, objects. It did not live up to its potential. I think the concept had a lot of potential, and it was not a very bad book, so I don't hate it. I was just bored. There was no hook in this book for me. I liked the story enough to just finish the book, but I was never excited and thrilled to be reading this book. The characters were flat, and the storyline was not interesting enough. It was boring to some sense. So that's why this is here, because it was not the book that I wanted it to be. Number 20, At Dark I Become Loathsome. I did not hate this book. I can admit that horror is not my genre, and the only reason I wanted to read this book was because the concept sounded really, really amazing, and I liked the cover. It sounded really interesting, so I read it, and I cannot tell you that this was a bad book. It was complicated. I can't tell you that I figured out a point in it. I think it was about grief and what grief can do to you. It was fine. So I didn't hate it at all. I understood that it wasn't for me and I wasn't the audience for this book. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it didn't have that much impact on me. I thought it would have way more impact on me, but it was fine. The writing was good. That's what I wanted to add. The writing was really good. Book number 19. Another book that was so anticipated by me, and it let me down. And I have a reading blog up for this one. Hot Wax by Emil Rio. As someone who loves If We Were Villains like no other book, as someone who believes that that's a book that's going to stay for centuries, I I cannot I don't want to accept that the author of this book was the same one who wrote that book, because this book was such a letdown. The timelines were so messy. So you were supposed to read about this band that existed, a rock band, and this little girl whose father was in this band, so she watched them go through these tours, and someday something really violent happens, and this band just explodes and it gets disbanded. And everything that happens to her after that accident or violent thing happens. And I was waiting for it to give Daisy Jones vibes. I was waiting for it to give If We Were Villains vibes, but it was really bad. I'm going to give you an example. Lilac by B.B. Reed is a not dark romance, but it's a very smutty book. So it's just spice after spice and spice, but it is set in a rock band, a girl with a rock band. And the rock vibes that I got from that book were more than I got from this book. And that says a lot, because that's not the focus there, but it was here. The timeline was really messy. You jumped all over the place with no order. You never knew what you were actually doing. Suzanne was one of the worst characters of this year. So bland. There was no spice to this girl. I couldn't care less about this girl. The rock band, which when we talk about rock band, we're expecting something really juicy, hot, attractive. None of that. The drama was there for a few pages and it was fine when it was there, but it was not enough to keep me excited about the book. The future of this girl was boring. It was just a very boring book with no purpose. So there was no point to this book, and it was not trying to say anything. Such a letdown by Emma Rio. I am so sorry to not love this book, but I don't even like it, let alone love it. Book number 18, Forget Me Not. Sorry, I already have. I gave it a good rating. When I read it, I think I gave it 4 stars. When I think about it deeply right now, I remember it. But honestly, if you just put this book in front of me and go like, "Oh, you read this book," I couldn't tell you what it was about. I know it was a mystery thriller. Yeah, it's coming back to me more and more the more I think about it. When I was reading it, it was a good time. So it's one of those mysteries that when you enter it, it's interesting enough to keep you going. There are enough plot twists. So I enjoyed reading it. It was nothing that bothered me. It was a very fine mystery thriller book, but it wasn't such a great plot twist that it has stayed with me that I think about the plot twist. It was a fine book with a fine ending. It was just nothing special. So that's why it is this low on this list. But at least it didn't make me mad like the other books did. It was just a good book for a very short time. 17, Girl Next Door. This is a book, this is a sapphic romance book. And I usually love sapphic romances no matter what. So they usually get a high rating for me, from me, because I love sapphic people and I love sapphic authors and I love sapphic stories because I'm a sapphic person myself. That with that said, um, I think there's a balance of writing flawed characters. So when you're writing a story, you cannot make every character perfect. You need flawed characters. But you need a balance of when you put so many characters in a book, let's say when you put four, you cannot make all four of them too flawed. Then your book just you tip the balance and it just ruins the story. So in this book, every character was unlikable because they did so many immoral things for no reason. They lied to each other, they manipulated each other, they had a toxic relationship, the two girls, and there was nothing that saved this story. You need that pure character, that hopeful character, that one person that saves the story and restores your faith in humanity. If everybody is too flawed, then you've overdone the. And I know that you were, or the author was trying to make them seem human, but with making them too flawed, you've ruined the story. So I think that really made me not love this book because both of our girls did so many wrong things. The side characters did so many wrong things for no reason. We didn't need too many mistakes in it, and there were definitely too many mistakes in it. Book 16, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. My first Grady Hendrix book ever. Again, this year I was trying to tiptoe into horror, and that's why I picked this book up. Why didn't I love it? I don't know. I can't really sit here and tell you this and this and this were the flaws of this book. I don't think it was flawed. I think it was a very good book. The writing was really good, the atmosphere and setting was really good. It had so many themes being explored in it. So there's nothing wrong with this book. I think the only reason I didn't really love it was that it kind of let me down in the last parts of this book. And at the end, we get to the point that horror is just not for me. Okay, so I can try to enjoy horror, and I will if it's a good book. But at the end of the day, it is not my favorite genre, so it's not going to make too much of an impact on me. So I think the fact that I didn't love this book is on me and not on the book. I think it was talking about so many important stuff. Teen pregnancy, if you know the storyline, it's talking about not teens even, children basically, very, very young girls getting pregnant and being sent to this house that they're expected to stay in there while they're pregnant, give up their children, and go away. And they believe that they have a choice to keep that child, but then they realize that no, they have no say in anything. That child is for that house, and they're going to do whatever they want with it. And I think it was very important to just talk about this stuff. It wasn't for me, and it's not on the book, it's on me. Number 15 on the list, Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Not a bad book by any means. Okay, it was not a bad book. It was not just what it should have been. I expect so much more from Emily Henry. I adore Happy Place. It's one of my favorite books. It has such great impact on me. Those characters are always going to be in my heart. And Great Big Beautiful Life had a crazy concept. So I was again waiting for something like Taylor Jenkins Reid's what was the book? The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, yes. I was waiting for that vibes. I was like, okay, Emily Henry is such a perfect writer, and now she's not only writing romance, she's adding some historical fiction, rich people drama to it. I think that part of the story took away from the romance, and it made it out not as perfect as we always like to see Emily Henry. I'm not saying she shouldn't have done this and ventured out. I think it's great that authors try to write outside of the comfort zone. So I'm going to read all of her books still. I just think this one was not it. Okay? And yeah, I think the two reporters, authors, who were there to write her biography, ooh, I liked them enough, but not too much, so they didn't make me fall in love with them, and that ruined the story. And the woman who was telling her backstory to us, the famous rich lady who was telling us what happened to her and how she got there, she wasn't interesting enough for me, also. So it was not interesting enough and not interesting enough. And at the end, it was a fine book, not a great one. I'm waiting for Emily Henry to give us way better books this year. Teen, All the Missing Pieces. I think this is one of the first books I read this year in January. If I remember the concept of this book correctly, it's about a woman, a reporter, or an investigator, not a police officer. Yeah, I think she's a journalist or something like that. She lives in this RV, and she goes to this very small town in which something has happened. I don't remember the crime. I don't really remember it now. So that says a lot to us that it didn't really make that much of an impact on me. But I do remember that while reading this book, I really enjoyed it. I loved the small town vibes. I still remember that. The vibes of, going to that one cafe in town and drinking that one perfect coffee there, talking to people who all know each other. And, I loved that. I was kind of surprised to realize that in this book we had a romance, and not just a secondary plot line of romance. It was really romance, and we had smut in it. That was the most shocking thing. I was like, oh, you're not going to close the door? I'm going to be here for this? Wasn't waiting for that, but it was a great surprise. I think she mixed the mystery part of it with the romance part really good. I don't remember it right now, but it was really good while I was reading it. Then we have Twice by Mitch Albom, my first book by Mitch Albom. I didn't know who he was, so I wasn't expecting such great book by him, because he was an unknown author by me. And I really enjoyed this story. Maybe it was because I didn't have too many high expectations from it, but I really enjoyed it. This is kind of a time jumping type of story. So he, as a main character, our main character, when something happens to him and he experiences something, He can tap on his leg and say twice, and he will go to the exact time that he's imagining and do it all again. But when he goes back and gets to the present time, he can't go back anymore. So the second time is what stays. And if it gets worse, he has to just accept that. Sorry. And I thought it was just going to be about how exciting that concept is, but it was a perfect, beautiful, tender, true love. A love story at the end of the day. And I really wasn't expecting to love the love story that much. It just touched my heart. I think he was just trying to prove the point of in a relationship and when we love somebody, we don't need to make everything perfect for them. We just have to be real and we have to be ourselves. And that love can be enough if we are trying to prove it. If we try to build our relationship, try to get better and listen to them really, that's enough. We don't have to be perfect all the time. And trying to be perfect for them every second of every day is what can actually ruin our relationship. And I love that love story. I'm so glad that I read this book so randomly one day and I loved it. 12 Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. I loved The 7 Year Slip so much that I bought it. And if you know me, if you don't, hi. I don't really buy books. Because I live in Iran and it's complicated. But I loved that book so, so, so much last year. It was my favorite book of the year. Second favorite. It was my second favorite book of the year. And I loved it so much. And I know it is not very right to expect an author to have every single book out as perfect as the last one. I get that while you're writing, you go up and down and up and down. Sounds Like Love was not it. I still enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the fantastical part of it because it's like these two people hear each other's voices in their head. So, like what we have in fake romances, they can hear each other and they're trying to figure out why they're hearing each other and this tune in their head. And they're working on the music of this tune and melody to realize what this is actually about. And we watch them fall in love. And that concept is really beautiful. So that made them communicate a lot because they're in each other's heads. But I don't know, it lacked something. I enjoyed reading it, I enjoyed the characters. I love the fact that she was talking about Alzheimer's and how it affects other people to watch the person that they love, their family member, get Alzheimer's and slowly slip away. That was so heartbreaking and beautiful and very important to talk about that kind of grief. I kind of liked the characters. There was nothing wrong with it. It wasn't what it was supposed to be. Or maybe it's just me. I just didn't love it 100% like I loved The 7 Year Slip. And that's why this one is not higher in this list, but it was good enough. Okay, it was fine. I'm waiting for the next one to be amazing again. Number 11, People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. The book that many people didn't like, the characters that many people didn't like, but I did. And I made a TikTok about it that, hey, I know that the way that this character, Milo, the MMC, is not okay. But as somebody who had a lot of toxic relationships, not a lot of, I had 2 relationships in my life, both of them toxic. I usually have crushes on toxic people. I'm working on it, don't worry. But as somebody who's experienced that, I get it. So this book is about our girl who's a very kind, sweetheart girl that lives in this small town with her parents. She's taking care of her mom who also has Alzheimer's. Weird thing that I put these 2 books back to back. But yeah, she's trying to take care of her mom, and one day our MMC, the boy Milo, gets into this town to help his brother open a brewery. And it's their story. And honestly, the way that Milo was, I'm going to summarize it into these keywords: bad boy, traumatized, bisexual, fuckboy, uncommunicative, emotional damage, gives you emotional whiplash, extremely good in bed. A lot of people didn't like him, and I know that if I was healed and a very healthy person, I would agree. Sorry, I'm not. I really enjoyed him. I don't know, I had a big crush on Milo. Loved this book. Moving on to number 10. I have Not Quite Dead by Holly Jackson. Okay, I don't think Holly Jackson is the best thriller writer of our time. I just think that she finds out interesting subjects and writes a story about that, and it just makes it fun. So anytime you pick a book by her up, you just keep reading and reading and reading, and then you get to yourself and you're like, oh, I finished this book. I'm not saying that her mysteries are fascinating and out of this world. I'm not saying the writing is crazy good. And I'm not saying that there's no thriller like it. I don't know. She just writes a way that makes sense. You know, the combination of all of the medium good things makes a whole package that is really easily digested. I love spending one day of my life being invested in this tiny little mystery thriller and going through that. So that was a very fun experience for me. The special concept of this book is that our main character has a head injury. Someone attacks her from behind, and she has a brain injury. So she has only 1 week to live, and then she will die. And in this 1 week, all she wants to do is just solve this case, her case. So she wants to solve her own murder before she dies. So the only reason this book is really, really fun is because of that concept. So you have that perfect concept, and everything else just falls in place, and it's such a fun book to read. You have to kind of suspend your disbelief that this girl has a brain damage and is walking around doing stuff, running, solving things. You need to kind of be like, okay, I get it. That can't happen in our world, but it's fine. Let's have fun. But it's a fun time. It's a very fun time. And I enjoyed that part of it. That's it. Book 9. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by Wee Schwab. Deep breath. I know that number 9 is not that bad, but I wanted this book to be number 1 this year. Love Wee Schwab. I loved The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, even though a lot of people didn't. What else do I like by her? Oh, yes, the trilogy of Shades of Magic. I really like that. I think that she has such a great writing style, and she writes like poetry. So her prose are very, very beautiful. I think she's an amazing, interesting author, and she wrote about sapphic vampires. I was supposed to be in love with this book. There's nothing more perfect than this book. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. It was a good book. I didn't hate it. I wasn't mad at her. I wasn't banging my head against a wall or floor or bed. I was good reading this book. And I was really invested in this story. All 3 girls, we have 3 girls, 3 timelines. Maria, aka Sabine, Charlotte and Alice, which is different times, and we get to see them become vampires, each and every one of them, and they try to cope with this new reality, and they have a link between them. I'm not going to spoil it. All of that was really, really great. The only thing that I didn't like was the ending. I wanted a better ending for it. I wanted a more impactful, a more interesting kind of ending that made a full shape to this book and give us a point. I love the story. I love the slowness of it. I love the fact that we had Morley Gray, Morley Black characters, and we had characters that sometimes they were victims, then they became the ones making victims. So people have different sides to them. They can be the hero and the villain of someone else's story. I loved that. And I loved the fact that she Rishuap was like, only because I'm writing sapphic characters, that does not mean that I have to write angels and perfect people. Queer people can be flawed too. And yeah, I think that's very important to have in stories. I just wanted a better ending. I wanted that ending to be a hit. I wanted it to be an I wanted it to be something that shook me and made me understand, oh, this is why she wrote this book. It was lacking that. But the whole book itself was really great. I enjoyed the writing and I enjoyed the story. Book 8, Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. This was the year of Ali Hazelwood for me. I started reading her this year and I read a lot of her books. And I loved Problematic Summer Romance. And I know that a lot of people don't. What many people have a problem with is the age gap. As someone who always falls for women way older than me, so 10 years, 15 years, I get it. I was reading from Maya, so it's Maya who's in love with his brother's best friend, who is 15 years older than her. And she's the one being like, we should be together. I'm an adult. I can understand if I want this or not. And he's the one being like, no, I'm going to ruin your life. You're young. You should be with someone your own age. And I read from Maya's POV and I was like, been there. Yep, I've been there. Don't talk to her like that. She wants it. She can have it. I loved that. I loved the banter. I just loved how confident Maya was. I just loved Maya as a character. I know that Connor was bothering me a lot. I think he was not emotionally mature. So I think that age gap was fine. Maya was really mature for her age. He was immature for his age, so they met in the middle. And they bantered really good. And they had great sex. Good for them. Okay? Good for them. Love this book. 7. Okay, the more I talk about and get into the books that I liked most, I'm realizing that I'm outing myself as somebody who is obsessed with toxic relationships. Oh boy, I should send this video to my therapist and be like, we need to work on this. Book 7 is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. What can I tell you? I like toxic people in my books. I like it when they fight and they kiss and they make out and they hate each other and they yell at each other. They may go and kiss each other. They may hug. I like it. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, the first book that I ever loved after children's book that I read was Wuthering Heights. Okay, I went from children's books to adult with Wuthering Heights. That changed my brain chemistry. At that time, I didn't know that, oh, this is not a perfect love story. I was like, this is the ultimate love. This is the forever love. I want to love like Catherine and Heathcliff. Now I realize that she was also trying to prove a point. I was 11 then. I didn't get it, okay? I didn't understand. And that just affected me a way that makes me just love toxic books, okay? Not in my life, just in my books. And this one was a retelling of Wuthering Heights, okay? Her name was Katarina, Catherine. His name was Heathcliff. We had an Isabella, and we had a Griffin, I think, who was, oh god, Edward. He was Edward. It was a great retelling. If you know, you know. So when you read it, you understand that this is a retelling. So this is about a girl who's obsessed with ice skating, and all her life is just about ice skating and championships and getting that gold medal. And her very, very toxic, obsessive relationship with her childhood lover. I don't want a relationship like this. I'm just saying that it's beautiful in books. Or something like that. Let's move on before I talk too much. Number 6. Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I am so sorry to be affected by the virus that is the Empyrean series. It's not really. Okay. Do I think that this series is a perfect fantasy series? No. I do not. Do I think there are a lot of problems with the story, with the world building, with the characters? Yes. Yes, I do. Every time I see a video in BookTube about just dissing this series and ranting about it and just roasting it, I watch that. I watch it and I'm like, yep, 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 yep. And at the end of the day, I enjoy reading these books. I put on the audiobook in 2.5 speed and I just run through it and I enjoy my time turning my brain off and listening to this book series. This is my guilty pleasure. If I wanted to recommend books to people as my favorite books, it would never make the list, but it really is a fun time. And I enjoy having messy books that are not perfect literature, but they're fun. And Onyx Storm is going to be here because I waited for it a year and 10 months. It deserves to be here. Was it the perfect book and perfect sequel? No. I liked it more than Iron Flame, but I still think there are a lot of flaws with it. I think that she needs to work on the pacing more. I think she didn't really expect this to be a big deal, so the pacing kind of lacks. So the pacing in Iron Flame was too slow, in Onyx Storm too fast. But at the end of the day, I just enjoy this. And I enjoy being in the fandom and waiting with everybody else for the next book, listening to theories and crack player theories. I like listening to fantasy fangirls and them going all crazy about it, analyzing every single thing about it. It's a fun time, and I like being a part of it. Book 5. We're getting to the top 5. Here we are. We have Sweet Heat. Toxic, obsessive, can't live with each other, can't live apart, hurt each other, but love each other. Romance. There's a theme in my favorite books, apparently, and that's this. I love them. I love the fact that they fought a lot. I love second chance romance. And I just love the fact that they were soulmates. They destroyed each other with their words, but also they took care of each other not like no other, and they understood each other like no other. Malachi is the perfect boyfriend for me. Not for you. You're a healthy person who wants healthy relationships. Not for you. Step away. You need better people. For me, he's the perfect boyfriend. Nothing else to say. I didn't know there was a first book. So this is a sequel. I read it, and here we are. 4. Oh god. Once Upon a Demon's Heart by K.M. Moronova. The perfect enemies to lovers of 2025. I wanted a perfect enemies to lovers for a very long time. I think they're trying to use this trope too much, and they're just missing. They're never really enemies, and they're never really lovers the way we want. They just go from kind of disliking each other to lusting over each other. And that's just not doing it for me anymore. And I was searching for really great enemies to lovers that reminded me of Judah and Carden from The Cruel Prince. And then this book entered the chat. They are enemies, 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 enemies. And they never really turn into lovers yet. This is the first book in a series, I think. They're not lovers yet. They're hate fucking each other, but they're still enemies. And I love that. That I am at the end of book 1 and they still hate each other while wanting each other. Amazing enemies to lovers. If you're waiting for a great enemies to lovers and you were lacking that, here you go. Top 3. Here we come. Book 3, Mate by Ali Hazelwood. Yes, we have 2 Ali Hazelwoods here. I am still shocked that I enjoyed Mate that much. Still flabbergasted. I don't understand why I loved it. I can just tell you Cohen. The only reason I loved this book this much is Cohen. I don't know how she wrote Cohen. Which part of him is the part that's making me so addicted to this book and so obsessed with it? I don't know. I just can tell you that Cohen is my type. His style, his looks, his words, his jokes, his way of being in bed. Cohen showed up on the screen because I was reading it in my iPad, so on the page, and I lost it. I'm not telling you that this is the best book of this year. I'm just saying that I'm obsessed with it. So if you like this genre, please tell me I'm not alone. Because I really don't want to be. Because I don't understand it myself. But I enjoyed every page of this book. And I keep thinking about rereading this book because of the way it made me feel. Loved Mate by Ali Hazelwood. Thank you, Ali. This was the book I wanted from you. Number 2, we're going to pivot and get into Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. Another kind of retelling of Wuthering Heights, but not really. It's a very small kind of hints at it. This book reminds me so much of reading classics. It's set in a very small town. They have farms and farm animals in this farm. And we have our girl who's married to this farmer, and they had a very big loss in their life. And one day, her past lover, what was that accent? Her past lover shows up in this town, and it's a love triangle, but it goes so wrong. It gets so messy. It was such a beautiful, sad, sad story. The writing was like poetry, and it was so tender, so beautiful. For the very first time, I didn't fall for the bad boy. I fell for the nice, kind-hearted, sweetest man ever, Frank. I cannot tell you how much I loved Frank. and how much I cried at the end of this book. At the end, there's a scene, a court scene, and my stress levels were through the roof. I couldn't sit on my chair. I was just walking around me like, no, 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 no. Such sad book. Such beautiful book. Loved it. Okay? Number one. I said it when I was reading it. When did I tell you? I know I said it somewhere. I don't know, maybe I didn't tell you. My favorite book of the year is going to be this one too. This is going to be number one in everything. The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. I thought no book was ever going to beat The Six Deaths of the Saint. And then Alex E. Harrow was like, no, this was not enough. Let's write a full-length novel about this concept. And she broke my heart and soul. Ripped me apart. The writing is out of this world. I don't know how she wrote it like this. Every single line, almost every single line, is highlighted in my book. Every single chapter that I read, I was like, I need to cry for hours. The way she wrote that cycle, I don't want to spoil anything. Don't know anything about it. Just go into it. I'm not going to say anything about it. The way she restarted that cycle, crazy. I don't know how she knew she should write this book like this. She did. And oh my god, this is a masterpiece. This is not just a book, it's art. It's the purest, most perfect type of art. That writing is crazy good. I do not know how she wrote it like that. That writing is just like silk. You know, I felt like something silky was being rubbed against my skin while I was reading this book. I ordered it. I'm going to show it to you when it arrives. Out of this world, magic. Perfect, 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 perfect book. Nothing can ever beat this book. This was the most crazy, amazing experience that I had, and I fell in love with Alex E. Harrow. I'm going to read each and every one of her books. That's it. That was the ranking of all of my most anticipated books of this year. Hopefully, I read 25 of them. And now you know how I love them. Let's hope that next year I'm going to read way better books than I did this year. See you in the next video. Bye.